Hello there everyone, in today's video we're going to take a look at Rishi Sunak's tax return for the 22-23 tax year, which has just been released. This was one of his pledges when he was in the leadership contest with Liz Truss a couple of years ago, that he said he would publish his tax returns, and he did last year and he has done again this year. So what's been making the headlines? What's it all about? Well, let's take a look at exactly what is in that tax return. So the first thing is income from being an MP. £84,119. The second thing that's in there is the bonus or the extra salary that you get if you are a minister. So the ministerial element of his salary, £55,358. Now, what I don't know is this on a sliding scale? Do you get more for being Prime Minister? I couldn't tell you that. It just says in the disclosure that his accountants have handily released. It just says ministerial salary. So whether or not a regular or a junior minister might get less than 55 grand, I don't know. Or they all get 55, who knows? But basic 84, minister 55. So that's what he gets for his job as being the MP and the Prime Minister. Right, what else has he got? He's got bank interest, £3,985. Now, investment income. So this is where he makes most of what he's earning, and he has, now assuming obviously the guy's very wealthy, assuming he's maxed out his pensions and his ISAs, they of course won't get recorded on a tax return. So let's say he's got a general investment account, which means it's not in a tax efficient wrapper, so you pay tax on the dividend and the interest and the investment yields thereon. So interest income in the investment account, 13,204. So this is interest separate from bank interest. It's interest that's in one of these investment wrappers, whether it's be gilt yields or whatever it may be. 13 grand. Dividend income, 276,000. So stocks and shares that he owns outside of tax efficient wrappers pay regular rates of income tax on the dividend rates, 276,218. So total income declared on his tax return in the last tax year, 22-23, 433,000. So 433 grand, and the amount of tax, the UK tax that he paid on that was 163,000. So that is an effective tax rate of 38%, okay, which is perfectly in line with what you expect. You've got different rates of tax for basic rate, then you jump into the higher rate. You've got savings rates of tax, dividend rates of tax, employed earned income rates of tax. But overall, he's paying an effective tax rate of 38% of that income, which anyone else with a similar income profile will be paying exactly the same amount of tax. That is, there's nothing fancy going on in terms of tax planning or anything else on this. It's just that's the income that you pay, 38%. Okay. What he also has on his tax return is capital gains. Now, capital gains are subject to capital gains tax, and they are taxed completely differently to income tax. It just so happens to get reported on the same form every year on your tax return, and you have to put them both down on the same document, but they are two different taxes completely. So capital gains in the tax year, a whopping great big 1.8 million, and we know about where this is. This is all, most of it is in the United States. He has a lot of interests out there, a lot of investments, he's got property out there. But basically, that is a capital gain. So when you're buying and selling assets, you have capital gains. And in this case, he has this ownership of a fund, and it was buying and selling stocks and shares, and you pay capital gains tax on those gains, and 20%. So the UK rate for capital gains tax when you sell stocks and shares that are not in tax efficient wrappers like ISAs or pensions is 20%. That's what it is. If you're a basic rate taxpayer, it's 10%, but he's not a basic rate taxpayer because he's on 400 grand of income, so he's a high rate taxpayer. So it's dead easy. It's flat rate, 20%. In fact, when you work out the capital gains tax, which is 359 grand on 1.8 million of capital gains, it's 19.99999%, because of course, like everyone else, Mr. Sunak gets the annual allowance for capital gains tax. In addition to the personal allowance for income tax, there's also an annual allowance for capital gains tax, which unfortunately is coming down. Right now it's £6,000, and that year, 22-23, it was still £12,000. So his effective tax rate, 19.999. To all intents and purposes, 20%. So everything transparent, nothing clever, nothing anything particular cute going on here. Is just paying all the taxes that are due. What's been misreported, I would suggest, in the press, is that people have been saying, this is what they've been saying. They've been saying, oh my goodness me, he's got this income of 2.2 million, 400 here and 1.8 here, and he's only paying tax of just over $500,000. That is an effective tax rate of 23%. But that's absolutely baloney, because you don't add the two up. Why would you? This is income tax, this is capital gains tax. You never combine the two and say, oh, there's an effective tax rate. Yes, if you added that and that and that and that, the overall is 23%, but so bloody what? I mean, it's just nonsense. Why would you do that? The two distinct things, income tax, capital gains tax, just so happen to be reported on the same document, a UK tax return. It's the same for everyone every year. So just reiterate, income tax 38%, capital gains tax 20%. Ain't nothing clever or anything untoward that is going on here. The guy is paying the tax that is due. These are the rules. Now, people can jump up and down all they want about saying, well, why is this only 20%? Well, that's capital gains tax. That's how it is. I mean, for people who've been arguing for years that capital gains tax, some people have been arguing, capital gains tax rates should go up to be more aligned to income tax rates, but they're not. They've always been lower. That's just the way it is. So there you have it. Rishi Sunak's tax return for 22-23. It would be a mistake to combine these two and say the guy's paying effective rate of 23%. That doesn't mean anything. These are the two rates that he's paying: 38% on income, 20% on capital gains. So if you like this video, please do subscribe. And as always, I'll see you soon.